Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. Uh, just uh, मुद्दे पे आने की बात पे uh, we've chosen a very interesting topic for discussion. You and me, we are both very avid readers, and you're also one who has gone ahead. You published books, and you're now running your publishing house. So I'm really excited to be talking to you
Thank you
about.
so much for inviting me, Kritika.
No, pleasure is all ours. So everyone that is here today, in a way, we all agree that we are in the information era and data is gold. And every time any information that has stood the test of time, it has stood the test of time because it has been conveyed through storytelling. Through ages, we have seen that first there were these heavy philosophies, and then when they had to be passed on from one hand to the other, somehow or the other, they always got converted to stories. And every time a new narrator told the story changed. It gained a new flavor and it became something else. And that's what everyone in the audience does today. They tell interesting stories. Some founders of startups tell stories about the startup. It could be an investment pitch. The CEO is forever pitching his business plan. The CFO may be pitching his budget. He may be pitching his financial projections. And in policy, the narrative of what a law can do or can't do has caused riots in India and has also brought people together. So I think storytelling is something that is so inherent in all of us professionals here today. And I'm really excited and I'm hopeful that we are able to get some, magic tips and tricks.
Yes, I hope this conversation adds value to the evening.
We know, no, we're not going to leave you so easily. We want you are going to give us advice and tell us how to weave this magic into our everyday work. When we were talking the other day, and we spoke about your novel, The Combat Skirts. Uh, at that point of time, I didn't know that it was actually, you told me it's a military love story, but you didn't tell me something that is very important for me and, a lot of the people here today. It's the military love story of a girl who's gone to study law.
Oh, I didn't tell you that.
No. And I was like, and then after that, I went on Amazon, searched your book, and I found it out. And you kept telling me how you're not I know you since few years, and I know what a deep philosophical person you are. And, for having to be landing with combat skirts and then going to barebone publishing, it's an interesting story.
So you would like me to talk about combat
I want
skirts?
to hear the story of combat skirts
it's
again.
a long 7 year long story.
Uh-huh.
So this started in 2016.
Yeah.
Okay, am I allowed to give you the long-winded version of this?
Whichever one you like, whichever one.
Okay, so I've taken a break from my corporate training career to raise my daughter, who was one.
Yeah.
And 2016, around that time, when she was 5, she told me one day, "Mama, you don't do anything. You stay at home, and all the mamas go to office." And that was the trigger for me to start thinking about. A second career in which I could stay home and also maybe pursue something that interested me. Now, writing was something that I was always good at. And I'm saying that because I used to win all the contests I ever participated in. But I came to writing finally in my late 30s. And this was on the back of a short story contest. Now, the short story that I had written was called Zinat Aman is Not a Soldier. And the publishers liked it so much that they asked me to write a whole novel, and that led to Combat Skirts. I have told you before that writing commercial fiction was not in my plans.
That to romance.
Yes, and romance is not something that I ever read. I'm not saying this in any kind of, I'm not looking down upon any genre, but it's just something that I never read. And when I was asked to write, and I used to write literary fiction, so it was actually a struggle for me. So to write something as simple as a love story taught me a lot, because I read up a lot about different storytelling techniques. I don't think I would have taught myself as much if it were a genre I was more comfortable with. So finally, the book was published on Army Day 2018, and the book is based in an AWA girls hostel. AWA stands for Army Women's Welfare Association. Now, there were many books in the market about army wives. There were none about army daughters. So I can claim to be a pioneer in that category of books.
And you being the army brat helped too.
Yes, although I'm a very well-behaved person, but yes, I will. Yes, you can call me a brat.
You told me, now the most interesting part of the story for me was that anyone who has been interested in books, we then come across books that are sort of banned. Okay, it could be Salman Rushdie's book, or it could be Lady Chatterley's Lover, and you then want to read them. You're like, I have to find a copy of this book and I have to read it. Now, your book first got published on an app, and this was 2016.
2016, I was commissioned, and 2018, early 2018, it was finally published.
Yes.
And yes, it is an interesting story in the sense that, somebody on a podcast called me a case study, because I was commissioned traditionally, but the format was non-traditional, it being on an app. And this is before OTT became,
before podcasts, before OTTs, and
Yes.
before, the Kindle was really that big a thing in India.
Absolutely. So the market, I think, was not primed for a different format, and it was difficult for me to get critical reviews, even though the publisher called it the book of the month when it was released. But that is a struggle that again, led me to learning a lot about the business. And I think it was providence, because finally it led to bare bones.
And so, what was that final nail in the coffin that you said, now I need to start publishing?
And having come from a corporate training background, where I used to teach interpersonal dynamics, I felt the way the whole industry functioned needed more empathy and just some gaps which I felt could be filled. And I want to be an example. I'm not trying to be immodest or anything, but yes, I think my authors can vouch for this, that the way I handle their stories is very different from how usually others do.
Yes, that's quite interesting. That is how we started Bridge Policy Think Tank. We wrote a book. It was one of the first books on mediation and negotiation by LexisNexis in 2015. And we got invited by the government of India. There was a time when there were no laws on mediation in India, especially in the commercial area. And they said, I think you guys should be consulting with us and helping us, roll this out. And then over the period of next 7 years, we got mediation introduced under the Companies Act, the Commercial Codes Act, the Consumer Protection Act, and mediation became this big thing. And the main reason we started Bridge Policy Think Tank was also similar. We thought that, there needs to be more evidence-based policy research. Laws need to be guided by more proof of why they need to be like that in the first place. So you and me have a lot in common.
I'm so glad to know that.
Now, let's jump to the main character in our discussion. Storytelling and the new character, artificial intelligence. So You know, I am a self-confessed heavy user of AI, but at the same time, I have my reservations on whether people who haven't formulated their own ideas, their own thought process, their own life narrative, whether or not they should be using AI. And AI is really changing how creative writing, creative fields are being done. What are your thoughts on using AI in storytelling and creative writing?
Well, I have many thoughts. So, when it comes to AI, as a creative writer, I feel that it definitely hinders your ability to think for yourself, to think originally. There are many publishers now who put this on their copyright page that this book cannot be used for training AI. Now, I'll not go to that extreme, and also being an early stage indie publisher, maybe later sometime I will think more about this. I also know that more established publishers are also using AI extensively for editing the books. So, personally, if you ask me, AI can be used. I don't think it is an absolute no-no, but only to polish what already exists. You should not be using it to, create content, because then you're losing your voice as a human being. And I mean, I can go on and on about this, but that is my short answer, that AI can be used for editing, but not for writing.
Yeah. I think I sort of agree with you. Uh, it would be very disheartening for me, maybe, if someone told me that I'm not reading an experience of a human being. It's just something that a bot created, and I'm reading about it. The thrill will go away. And well, also, I feel that AI has this problem with hallucination and bland writing. Everything sounds the same, and the excessive use of hyphens,
And M dashes.
M dashes. Yes, yes. So everything has an M dash, and I think it has not really reached that stage where you can use it to write an entire book, perhaps. But for me, I think AI is a good brainstorming partner, and I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, because
It can be a good assistant, but then also you need to know what questions to ask.
right, that's very true, and you need to now. Till now, we were learning English grammar, we were learning sentence construction. Now we will also add a chapter on prompt engineering in the English syllabus, is my feeling. So also with increasing use of technology, do you think touching an emotional chord is becoming tough with the audience? People becoming more transactional, more confused with what they want in life, because they're not really interacting that much with humans. It's just humans interacting with technology.
So, when somebody asks me what is writing, I would say writing is refined thinking. So, if you're not thinking for yourself, then definitely there is a problem there. Also, I think an oversaturation of AI generated content on social media is also turning people off, because anything that is too well written, and also, the emotional stamina that you need to be able to write great stories and great captions and descriptions daily. That's not humanly possible. So people also understand that, so and so has been using AI to convey their thoughts. So I think that is one of the negatives of using AI too much. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think in a way you did, and that really brings me to narrative. Regardless of whether you are using AI or not, and whether you are communicating through newspapers, or you're communicating through written word, or you're communicating through social media, narrative is still the king of storytelling. Now, a narrative used to be set sometimes over decades. If you're talking about history, if you're talking about the old times, and it used to take decades to change a narrative. And now narratives are changing in seconds. A minute you know that something has happened, another minute you have put the blame on another person, now then another second something else has happened. So and even social media influencers, now they use the same hooks that ideally we used to use to write stories and used to write creative writing, like keep the mystery in the end, or you would not believe if I told you. That's how they begin, the social media hook. So the essence of telling a convincing story is still the same. When telling a story, what according to you is most important to make an impact?
So first, let me, come to a meeting that I was earlier in the day, and it was a meeting of writers, of creative people, and we were talking about this, how PR has become so important. Social media influencers, digital marketing agencies, PR agencies have become so important in creative fields, and a lot of what is being churned out is dictated by these hooks, these trends, hashtags. So I think I can go on and on about this. But coming to your question, you said what is
So what makes a story convincing, or what is the essence of a story according to you? Could it be persuasion? Could it be evoking emotions?
So, see, it also depends on what you are trying to do with your writing. If it is business writing, then definitely persuasion, because you're trying to persuade people to do something. And if it is creative writing, if it is poetry, fiction, then definitely the star is being able to evoke emotions in the reader. So it also depends on your intent of what you want to convey through the story.
Do you have any specific, things, that we should keep in mind if we are trying to do any of these things?
Again, it depends on what genre or what format of writing it is.
Yeah.
Now, as they say, if you can explain something to a child, that means you know it. So I have been mentoring a few very young writers, and I've been telling them about different structures of writing. See, the voice of the writer is the most important thing. That is your unique perspective of how you see the world. That cannot be replicated. So, apart from that, if you know the different structures of writing, it becomes very easy. What is a story after all? It is point A, point B, and how you go from one point to another. That is the plot. Now, how interesting you can make that is up to you, your skill levels. But the gist of what are you trying to do? You should be able to know that clearly and explain it to yourself clearly that, okay, this is what I'm trying to achieve with a certain piece of writing. If you know that, if that clarity exists, then you'll be successful.
Yes, it's funny you say that. A few years ago, I was telling you the other day, I did this course and I thought I'm going to learn something about how to make the world a more peaceful place, and, how to resolve conflicts, because I am a United Nations fellow for women in conflict. And then they ended up teaching us storytelling. And they said the same thing, that if you help people who have been in dispute situations, in conflict situations, help them plan, chalk out the life story, and then help them change the narrative the way they say it. That yes, you have gone through a lot of grief, lot of strife, but what if you make it the story of a survivor? And they said something very similar to what you said, that every story is a bell curve or a wave. And for example, Bahubali part 1, why did Katappa kill Bahubali? You reached the top of the wave and then you just stopped. you know?
So in Combat Skirts, which is supposed to be a romance, I've used a lot of devices from mystery writing and from thrillers. So yes, you know how you make the storytelling interesting without getting bound by the limitations that have been, you know, you've been conditioned to think of in certain ways. How you can break that? Like Picasso said, learn
Yeah.
the rules like a pro, break them like an artist.
Yeah, yeah. What are rules if you don't break them? So,
Absolutely.
so
No, are we supposed to say that in this gathering, though?
yeah. They chill. I'm sure they chill with what we're saying. So, I also wanted to ask you, now you've been publishing for so long, and I know in publishing you're a free spirit, is what I understand. You publish what you want to read. But are there any specific genres that, according to you, are trending and we'll be surprised to know that they're trending?
So, in India, we are seeing a lot of military literature that is coming up. Also, memoirs by celebrities will never go out of fashion. But what has surprised me is coloring books for adults.
Yeah,
You know, because I think we are going back to a more analog way of life,
Yeah.
a more mindful, more slow paced way of life.
Yes.
And so you'll see more of these, mandalas and coloring books and all of that. So that is something that surprised me pleasantly.
Right. That's quite interesting. Tell us a little bit more about the military literature that you're working on right now. I mean, there's this wave in the country. There is, Shaurya, and, even in the films and all of that, you see this heavy influence of national pride. But what are the other things that you think military literature can bring to the life of a person?
So, in fact, the upcoming New Delhi World Book Fair, the theme of this whole festival is military literature, Indian military history. So, I think apart from the usual national pride and the story of an inspirational personality, apart from that, I think there is a lot of self-help elements, a lot that you can learn from, a lot of motivational stuff. So that is what I think makes military literature that much more interesting, and also the stories from the social life of a cantonment. You know, that is not something that comes out that often, and in fact, I don't think after Combat Skirts anyone has written another story about army daughters.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I think that's a theme that is still not explored as much as it should have, because
I actually felt a couple of years ago that this was oversaturated, done to death. But I see still so many books coming up, and I think there is scope for more.
that's quite interesting. Now, just there are a lot of people here, a lot of CXO level leaders from the sector, who are here. Now, as you rightly pointed out, it is a little bit important to be important in India if you want to write a book. And so, if one of these important people want to write a book, what would be your advice to them on how they should take it forward?
One advice.
You can give a lot of advice also. So, they are just looking forward to hear from you.
I think the most important is to find your voice and to hone it. You know, that is at the core of all good writing, to be able to express exactly what you want to. Because a lot of writing, I feel, is dictated by trying to impress other people.
Yeah.
You know, that is something that I feel should not be the motivation behind writing. Again, this is a topic I can go on and on about, but one of my mentors, he said, don't be more interesting than your book. The book will be published, not you.
I think the central theme to your entire idea of storytelling, I understand, is finding your own voice. And I think that is such an important message for anyone who is trying to tell a story in whichever format it is, whether it's an investor pitch or whether it's a novel. And I think on that note, I'll tell you something. So I am a bit influenced by Aristotle. And what I've done, I have a paid AI app and I've created, projects on it. So they act as I tell them to, I tell them you are this. And so I have created a Kritika on AI. I call it alter ego. And I asked alter ego, so you're doing this impressive fireside chat with Sahana Ahmed. And what do you think Kritika should say? And it gave me this long binding thing, which ended up justifying, that AI is not bad. It is just a technology.
Oh, I wish I had asked AI to give me some answers before I stepped onto the stage.
Yes, and that's exactly what I understood. When I did that, I did it purposefully. I wanted to know what it said and how much it matched to what I wanted to say. That at the end of the day, no matter how much I train the technology, it's not my voice. And the most interesting thing is sometimes I say the same thing to it, say something in my voice, and but I realized that it's something very different from what I wanted to say to you today, you know, and AI was not able to justify my voice. And I hope that this discussion helps everyone in the audience help find their original voice, use AI as an
That is very
assistant.
insightful, in fact. That reminds me of this instance where I had asked Grok to explain a tweet where my book was mentioned and it attributed all the wrong books to my name. So there are gaps still.
Oh, there are gaps, definitely. And what is going to be your parting message to the audience today on storytelling and creative writing?
Have fun. I think that is very, very overlooked usually. Have fun.
I think that's also the parting message of the evening today. I hope you guys have fun today and a good time. And thank you so much for joining us today for this insightful chat.
Thank you so much, Kritika. I had such a wonderful time.